friends, welcome back to the garden. My name is Kat, and together we are going to take a look around the garden today and see what has changed here in the month of May. It's been a little while since we did a garden tour. The canna lily in the pond is in bloom. She's gorgeous. I also picked up an iris of sorts. I think it's a Siberian iris from my dad's property, as well as a skunk cabbage. I don't know the technical term for those plants. That's just what I grew up calling them. The caladiums did die back a little. I think it is a little too much sun for them, but they are still pushing out new leaves, so I'm not giving up yet. The impatient leaves are also darkening up with all this extra sunlight. But they don't mind it. That's just the kind of color that they turn. At least the ones that were sitting out in full sun were this way. Strawberries galore. I am really glad that these plants threw off as many runners as they did, because the whole garden is covered in strawberries, which means there's plenty to share. So when I see this, I don't get mad. We've been having so much rain. A lot of these little mushrooms are popping up all over the place here. This is the penstamen that we planted. Look at these gorgeous red blooms. This should be a perennial in my area that comes back every year. I was not expecting the white throat. I think it's really pretty though. I thought they were all gonna be solid, but no. These are white blackberries, and this is going to be the first year, holy moly, for it to bear fruit. I've had this plant for a few years now, and I'm so excited. The gooseberry has also adjusted really well. I planted this as a bare root when I got it with my elderberries and bare root trees from Stark Brothers, but it is putting on a ton of new growth. So yeah, we should actually get gooseberries next year. This bed over here in general has been doing really well. We did pull out the leeks, and while that was disappointing, I am really excited about this sort of potato and lettuce companion planting that's happening over here. This lettuce has been so yummy. The lavender here is also going to seed. It's flowering. I'm so used to talking about my my vegetables, but it is starting to flower, so that is lovely. I'm gonna be so excited to see that. We got that last year. Broccolis are also doing phenomenal. They're huge. This sunflower reseeded from last year and is poking through, along with its cousins in the back there. Look at this stalk. Wow. I am finally seeing buds on this stalk. I might actually get stalk flowers this year. Wow. The elderberry back here is also doing well. Again, the other one didn't do anything, no signs of life. I have a giant tower of cilantro I need to cut down there, obviously. These broccolis over here though, I don't know, we're heading into summer. I'm not seeing any heads starting to form, but I'm gonna keep them in. The turnip and spinach have gone to seed now. Take a closer look here. So I am gonna come back out here and do one final harvest of the spinach, get what I can get, and pull these turnips. They were fun to sow seeds with Julian, but ultimately we're gonna need the space for summer. These carrots though are in a desperate need of a thin, so I'm gonna have to come through here with just some really small scissors, and instead of pulling, because at this side I feel if I pull them, they're going to disrupt the roots of the other ones next to them too much. The pansies are still pumping out flowers, which is a really beautiful little pop of joy in the garden. The peppers and sweet potatoes were planted last week in this newly built metal raised bed. I did give them some fish emulsion fertilizer, and they are coming along. So the marigolds and tomatoes are doing really well in ground. They've definitely gotten their footing and are starting to green up. I know it's a total mess here with the cilantro having flopped over and the chamomile flopped over. There's tons of strawberries in this bed as well. Again, so happy to share them with the critters that are in the garden because there's plenty for everyone this year. Also have strawberries bordering these raised beds down here. They spit out runners last year as well. The berries that they've been putting out, though, are pretty big. I noticed that the plants that were in my native clay soil or in the raised beds are definitely putting out much bigger berries. And I'm wondering if it's the variety, because last year I planted 2 different varieties of strawberries. I'll drop the name on the screen if I can remember which 2 they were. But yeah, I've been really impressed. These are coming on a little bit later than the other ones, but there's a ton of green berries under these leaves right now. Another highlight of the garden this May is going to be these cabbages. So last year, I took a look at my old photos. I had cabbages that were about this size that we ended up harvesting on my birthday, June 10th. But we'll see when we get to harvest these, maybe late June. The chamomile is a total mess. I am picking up my Lowe's order for those plant supports that I had talked about to sort of lift this chamomile back up from its flopped over position. They do want to turn. These beautiful little flowers want to like turn and face the sun. So even though they're flopped over, the stems of the plant are actually turning into sort of like a golf club shape to reach up to the sun, which is interesting. So they should straighten back out once I provide them some support. The echinacea is also coming along nicely. I will have to dig up and divide this at the end of the year, but we are starting to see bud formation. I am so excited. I love this flower. It's a wonderful pollinator flower. The asparagus that I had planted, definitely late in the spring, but it is burning out. So that is great. We do have quite a few spears that we're able to fern out. Sweet peas that we planted are definitely taking a long time. So what I'm thinking is that we're actually going to take these out and replace these with cucumbers. I think the issue here was overcrowding. I should have thinned them down to 3 or 2 per side of the trellis, so my bad. I have 2 pear trees remaining from the ones that we planted last year, and they are both healthy and starting to leaf out and grow for the year. Even the one here that we had transplanted a few months ago has adjusted well. I did manage to sneak a few bare root strawberries underneath the tree when we were relocating it. They are also doing well. Sort of a total fail this year, these Ranunculus. I wouldn't call it a fail, actually. They did a lot better this year than they did last year. And I'm actually really proud of the learning experience that this was for me. Maybe we'll get a few more stems. I'm not going to rip anything out yet. I'm definitely going to give it some time to see if it wants to spit out any stems. But I think that's it for the Ranunculus this year, guys. We did have more blooms this season than I did last year. I also planted more plants this year, planted them sooner than I did last year. So I think that that is part of the success for this year. But it wasn't a dud season. The anemone, though, can't stop, won't stop, just keeps spitting out blooms. I am really excited to order more anemone next year just based on how well this variety did. The fruit trees over here are kind of touch and go. I have a Honeycrisp here that is not producing foliage, and what foliage it is producing is drying out very quickly, as well as you know, just being small, on the smaller side. So I did not prune this tree. I don't know if that was part of why it's suffering. Maybe I do need to come in and do a summer pruning. The gallon next to it is doing better, marginally though. The rest, as you see here, I have a Kinder Crisp, a Pink Lady. There are some aphids. I spray those off occasionally with the hose as an organic method of pest control. This is my Mary Crest nectarine, my pride and joy. It is starting to get some sort of fungal disease. I did leave on 3 of the fruits. I think there were 5, but 2 fell off, so 3 remain. In general, the rest of the leaves are healthy. It's these other ones that are starting to spot. I'll need to look that up, see if I can figure out what it is. My grapevine is just going bonkers this year. My hope is that I'll actually be able to trellis this. It's shooting out growth pretty much everywhere. I do want to snake it around with about 1 foot between the vines, if that makes sense. The other trees, the replacement trees I got for my pie cherry and my other pear tree are doing phenomenal. I'm so excited that they sent me dwarfs instead of semi-dwarfs so I can keep them in these pots. The growth this year is very healthy and vigorous, so at the end of the season, this should be very fun to prune. I have the healthiest tomato plants going into this season. I am so stoked. The stalks on these bad boys are so thick. They're just beastly tomato plants, which is wonderful. Going into this summer season, having such healthy looking plants is gonna really put me in a really good place. We've also got flowers starting on these tomatoes, which is just crazy. So I might actually get a June tomato off of these guys. These dahlias, yes, doing phenomenal. I thought one of them was a goner, but thankfully not. Some of these pots have the growth that they're putting out is so large that I could come and pinch it and cut it if I wanted to and try to multiply my dahlia yield. I would come down here and you know, cut right here and then put that cutting in like a pot of soil or some water. The blackberries are doing great. So this is a flower stalk that's coming out, a flower shoot, and that's where the berries are gonna eventually come from. So we've got this blackberry cane that shot up. I'm gonna put a trellis on it and I am gonna let it stay because it just looks so vigorous. Last but not least is this garlic. I just need to hold out for another month. If it can hold out until about the end of June, that would be great. And then it should be ready to pull and we'll see what we ended up with. I'm gonna see if I can grab a little strawberry snack for the road here. As always, thanks for hanging out with me in the garden today, and we'll catch you next time.